There you go, and it's just the arrows.
Thanks.
Shoot it over there.
Thanks. Yeah, so Crumb's Cookie Cutter Lawns. Oh, thank you. So Crumb's Cookie Cutter Lawns is just a little fun name I came up with in 5th grade because that's whenever it all started. So it's a long name, but so Crumb's Cookie Cutter Lawns is a one-man operation. Technically, it started out with me and my dad, but I'll get to that in the next slide. So we mainly focused on mowing, trimming, brush haul off, and leaf removal. It ran for the last 6 summers, the summer after my 5th grade year, but this year I'm not doing it because I graduated high school this past year, and I'm going to go to college in August, and I usually don't stop mowing till the beginning of October. So like I said, my dad and I were mowing lawns. He was a teacher at Atchison High School, and so it started off with just family and friends. He did it before I started. He had like 4 yards for older relatives and then people that couldn't do it because of health issues. And so after the 5th grade year, I developed this passion for basketball and other sports, and that turned into me wanting the expensive clothes, expensive shoes, expensive gear, all that kind of jazz. My parents weren't willing to pay for all that, unfortunately. So I wanted that stuff. So my dad came to me, he was like, I hope you start a lawn mowing business, but it's going to take a lot of work and effort. And so I saw the end goal of basketball shoes, so that's what I wanted. There's multiple pictures of me with a bunch of Dick's Sporting Good bags that when we went on multiple different shopping sprees where I had to take my parents out to dinner after. So after the first few weeks, I kind of started taking over some of the different aspects of it, of like the financial stuff. I didn't take it over fully because my dad didn't trust me with all that. And so I started taking over that. I kept my dad employed because I needed a ride around other places because I was only in 5th grade. So like I said, at first started off with just family and friends, but then we grew to people that couldn't afford the larger prices. I think I was fairly cheap with my prices so I could have more customers. And so anyone and everyone, like I say, you might be wondering why there's gas stations on there. They had 4 or 5 people that walked up to us at a gas station were asking us to come and mow for them. And so that was interesting. So like I was saying, I was more flexible since I was a teenager. I was out of school, so I could take on more and more. And same with my dad, he was a teacher, so he had the full summer off. We managed all of our money through a Google Sheet, so we had how much we were bringing in, what went to the business, what went to me, what went to my dad. All that in a Google Sheet, so how much we made in that week, month, year, so on and so forth. Like I said, we were more affordable than larger companies. Our price depended on the yard. The first couple seasons, it was $20 per gate drop. We didn't charge $20, but we would have a minimum of $20 per yard. And then the last few seasons, it went up to $30. These price changes were from different gas, different expenses I needed to make, so on and so forth. And then it was mostly just fuel costs and employee wages, but there was other stuff. Price challenges were sometimes a challenge. I had a lot of old farmers as my clients, and they don't really enjoy prices going up very much. So there's a lot of long phone calls that came with that. Most of the time, my dad handled that. Some of the setbacks I had along the way, I rolled my truck. There was a lot of broken windows. There's a story where I was first starting off and my dad broke this lady's sliding door window, and I was pretty upset because he was making me pay for it. But that was the way of a business owner. And so come to find out down the line this last year, I broke that same exact sliding door window. So I had to do that again. Broken mowers, broken truck. We had this old 1986 square body Ford, and one time it broke. It just stopped working on the double-decker bridge, like in the middle of the road. And there was no time for us to get off to the side. So that was a fun experience. But, however, I always found a way through. Money was always there. I was fortunate enough to have that. And I learned and grew from each one. So, like I said, I was done this past year. I'm going off to college in the fall, and so I wasn't going to have those last 2 months of mowing, so I felt like I was leaving my employees in the dust, and I didn't have anybody to really take it over. And I couldn't have done it to the best of my ability. I feel like I would have been focusing on other stuff and the blah, 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 that kind of jazz. Where I need to go. Letting people know my story is probably a big thing so they can get out and start their own business. I coach the Savannah Summer Rec swim team, and so I've already had a couple guys come up to me and they're like, how did you start? What did you do to get started? How can I get started? So I've kind of been sharing that experience with them as well. But the main thing is the lessons I'll take with me. Challenges and struggles are temporary. Like I said, I had faced a lot, but they're just a small point in time. Communication skills. I feel like I've built some decent communication skills with my clients and customers and people I've met along the way. Importance of networking. So I'm going into journalism for sports broadcasting. And I just keep getting hammered that networking is a key thing in this industry. And it's more important than on your education is less important than the people that you know to get you a job. So I feel like networking of different clients, getting my name out there will help me out along the way. Maintaining a hardworking mindset. I feel like the long, gruesome summer days when it's 95% humidity in Missouri is not the most fun thing and you're drenched in sweat. But that hardworking mindset will hopefully improve myself and get me to where I want to be in life. And finally, finishing everything to the best ability possible. So before my dad left me, there's a lot of times where we would see a little small patch of grass that wasn't cut. And I was like, I don't want to go back out there. But he'd make me go get the trimmer and go knock it down real quick. And so he always told me that your best is sometimes not always the best. You have to reach that next step to be better than you thought you were at that point in time. So what can you guys do for me, kind of, sort of thing. So I'm not in business, but I want to get other people that have the same story as me in the same room as me. Some of the younger kids that are 5th grade that are trying to start a business, get them in here in years' time. And then share stories to entrepreneurs so young kids are inspired to do so. And then there's my contact information. Thank you.
I'll start. So, because I've learned, I know that you're young, but I have learned that if you have that entrepreneur bug, especially at such a young age of 10, you'll go through things, but you won't really ever leave it. And I know a little bit about journalism because Jody O'Brien talked in here, and she talked, and that essentially, I didn't realize how much doing journalism is kind of like being an entrepreneur because you got to be the whole big bang and whistle and all that stuff. So I think just some of that, I don't know, don't dismiss that entrepreneur bug that and how you said with networking, I feel like things that I've learned, and I still feel pretty young because I'm only 37. Okay, I'm a young. But I've learned, yeah, sometimes that piece of paper can get you in the door. It's like saying, hey, I did some work, but truly, it doesn't matter. When I connect with people, all I care about is this person worked hard. They did something. They created a business from scratch. They went and grinded at school while also doing this other thing. And so it was so for me, it's just I don't really care what you do. It's that we are both hard workers. And then maybe one day, because life is long, I'll be like, hey, I remember this person did something and they're a hard worker. And then you'll be the first person who pops into my mind. So when I think of networking, I just kind of think of those things. Because when I was younger, I kind of thought networking just talk to people who do the same thing that you do and that's it. No, it's just taking a big collection of people who are hard workers, who are innovative, who are willing to just put in the long hours when they're passionate about something. That wasn't a question, but it was more of a thought with all of that. I don't think the entrepreneur bug is just, or the business bug is just gonna leave and never come back.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
One of the slides you said one of the things that you learned was finish the job. I don't care if it's journalism or lawn care in your life, there's going to be somebody watching you finish the job, and it'll go with you along the way. So continue that mindset. People are looking. So thank you.
Okay, so since you guys are both from similar backgrounds and you're not working anymore, what would be your best advice to what would be your best advice to him as he's starting his continuing business?
To keep doing it. Pays off. Keep doing it. Pays off.
Since you are both in the same business, I'm wondering whether you might be able to help him recruit some younger kids. Since you're not
Your
going
dad.
to continue it, but maybe help him recruit some high school kids that you know of that you could recommend would be good employees for him.
dad needs a part-time
Yeah.
He's all in summer.
I think he bowed out 2 years ago. So we'll see.
But it is a question. So did you have somebody work with you besides your dad ever?
No. So after I turned 16 and I could drive myself, my dad bowed out. I was like, I'm done. So
Where are you going to college?
I'm gonna go to Mizzou.
Okay. Are you excited to try to get in there and try to report on the football teams or anything like that right off the bat? Or?
Yeah, so I went down there for summer orientation, and they said most of the time they don't let freshmen jump right into like the big sports, and so they said they have like a program where you go to like the different high schools and report those college football games. So the goal is to be a sports commentator, but yeah.
I would say on that, and this is just a good thing to hear as well, that like networking is also just being okay about bragging about yourself. I told Carlton, because I know Carlton, they'll tell you as well, like it's very rare, and you both said it because you can't hire other people. Like, yeah, I did it in high school, but like I can't really find anybody else. Lock that in your brain for something else. So when you're doing, like, they don't let you just jump in after that. Bring it up in casual conversation when it comes up naturally. It's not bragging, it's just sharing who you are as a person. Like, yeah, I started this business with my dad when I was 10. Wait, what? And then all of a sudden, people, again, they're locking that in their brain. Like, oh, well, Carlton likes to do stuff. Like, like he'll show up and do the work. And then all of a sudden, we know, like, you'll fill in last minute. This person will show up even when it's hard. I'm now banking that in my mind that this person is just a good person I want around. And if you keep verbalizing and saying, these are the things I'm interested in, then I'm like, oh, well, I already know that this person works hard in the past, and then they would like to be interested in this. So let me just reach out and see if that's the person. So both of you, just like think that in your mind of how special you are, okay?
Yeah, I'd like to just say thank you very much for sharing, both of you guys today, because it is an inspiration. I'm not 40 yet. I'm with Elizabeth. I'm not in the 40 club yet, but just having young entrepreneurs here, it is an encouragement to older guys like me, and just continuing to share your guys' stories. Don't stop doing that. Be an encouragement to that younger generation as well, please.
Well, and I want to just probably piggyback off of that. So I'm a lawyer by trade, and I work in higher ed administration. And when I was hiring one of my first paralegals for a law office, I found out that she worked at a local toy store in town. I think it closed now, but in high school they had made her a manager, and I hired her because I thought, if she's becoming a manager in high school, then others are seeing leadership and ability to manage a lot of things right away. I want her on my team. So your high school experience will continue to benefit you throughout your whole career. Share that experience, because I want to know as an employer, oh, you had this comes natural to you. You're a good hard worker, you're a leader, and I want that on my team. And so you don't dismiss the fact, how young you started, and share that a lot. That's how, and she was a fantastic employee. And I knew she would be because of her high school.
Who took over your lawns?
No one. So about in August, I told people that I probably wasn't doing it again, and that I would look for somebody like similar to myself, but I couldn't find anyone, and that they would find somebody. But most of them said that another family member was taking over. I think one ended up hiring somebody else. At the end, I had about 17, but
Not to force the issue.
yeah.
Maybe do something. Maybe a conversation.
when you started out in 5th grade, I'm assuming you just used one of your parents' lawnmowers or your dad's
Yeah.
lawnmower, and then as you grew or continued this, did you upgrade your equipment, or did you just use the same stuff the whole entire time you were working?
So we had one lawnmower whenever we first started, and then 3 years down the line it broke, and so I bought a new one, or we split it 50-50.
How old were you at that point?
I was 13.
You bought a lawnmower at 13?
Yeah, it was 50-50, but yeah, I paid for my truck by myself, and then whenever I rolled the one truck, I paid for the second truck by myself.
What would you tell a younger you started out, when you started out? What would you, with your experience now, what would you tell them after you get into this lawnmower business?
It's gonna be rough, but like Elizabeth said, that people like to see the young kid walk in the lawnmower dealership and tell them that they want a new mower. And yeah, I was fortunate enough to have a good dad that I had to do a lot of the talking, and we'd practice in the car to a lot of the places. But yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody have business updates? I'll update. I got to hire me a lawnmower for the trailer park, and I officially have graduated to only mowing my own lawn. I am so happy. So, anybody else with business updates? Okay, I guess we're out of here 15 minutes early. Sorry, Facebook Live.